Food as a substrate for microorganism. The interaction between microorganisms, plant and animals are natural and constant. Microorganisms use our food supply as a source of nutrients for their growth, and this results in the deterioration of the food. It can be helpful in the many beneficial ways also, but most of the cases it is going to create the deterioration for the food. By increasing the number of microbes and because of utilizing the nutrient present in the food, producing the enzymatic changes, and by contributing the off flavors, and that is produced by the breakdown of products or the synthesis of new compound. So all these things are going to aid the spoilage of food. This is a normal consequence of the action of microorganism, since one of their function in the nature is to convert the reduced form of carbon, nitrogen, sulfur in the dead plants and animal to the oxidized form required by the plants, which in turn are consumed by the animals. So this is a continuous process or cycle. Okay, now microbial spoilage is caused by the microorganisms. Main organisms responsible are fungi like molds and yeast, and bacteria. They spoil food by growing in it and producing the substances that change the color, texture, odor and the food. Eventually the food will be unfit for the human consumption. Now spoilage bacteria, they are very small and they without microscope that can cause they cannot be seen, and they will cause the food to deteriorate and develop the unpleasant odor, taste and texture. So these are the changes like odor, taste and texture. These things are indication of the spoilage. Okay, because like now a microorganism or the spoilage organism are present in the food, we cannot say, as they are the microbes, we cannot see them directly. So by these physical characteristics, these physical changes like change in odor of the food, change in taste of the food, change in the texture of the food, that will be resulted due to the spoilage. So these are the indication. Now here you can see like the spoilage bacteria, yeast and fungi, they are involved. Now interaction of the food with the microbes. Constant interactions are there with the food and the microbes. Like plant and animals are in the direct and in the natural and in the constant interaction with the microbes. Microbes use food as a source of their nutrient. The food that we eat are rarely, if ever, sterile. That means every time some or other microbes are there that is present over the food. So they carry the microbial association, that is the food carries the microbial association, and their composition depend upon which organism gain access and how they grow, survive and interact in the food. So these are the functional characteristics or the chemical characteristics of the food that decide the type of the organism. Microbes present will originate from the natural microflora of the raw material during processing, during storage, during distribution. So these are also the different factors. Microorganisms manifest their presence in one or several ways. They cause spoilage, they cause foodborne illness, they transform the food properties in beneficial ways also, like in the food fermentation. Food spoilage result from the growth of microbes in the food. Okay, so there are and one more thing is there, that this involves the predictable succession of the microbe. Means the organism which has attacked the food, it is not that it is going to be there for, the succession will be there. Okay, so this succession is also present. Now different food undergo different type of spoilage process. Toxins are also sometimes present. Now, what are the different compositional factors of the food that influence the microbial activity? So, these are the factors which are present in the food. These are the compositional factors of food. Okay, so these could be intrinsic factor, these could be environmental factor, these could be implicit factors. So, intrinsic factors, that is the inbuilt property of the food. Those are nutrients, pH and the buffering capacity, water activity, microbial constituent, antimicrobial structure. Then environmental factor, then that is the relative humidity, temperature, gaseous atmosphere. And implicit factor, that is the specific growth rate, mutualism, that is these are the factors that are present that are going to influence their own interaction, microbial interaction amongst themselves in the food. Now, on the basis of the spoilage, food has been classified into three groups. First is the stable or non-perishable, as the name indicates, non-perishable. So, unless they are handled carelessly, they cannot be they don't spoil early. Now semi-spoiled food, semi-perishable food, they can remain unspoiled fairly for longer period if handled properly. And perishable, they will spoil readily unless the special preservatives are used, like milk, fish, poultry, vegetables and egg. So we know that the milk, vegetables, so we have to handle them properly, we have to consume in within a very small time. Why? Because they have small shelf life. And for the milk, like they are and other products, the this preservatives need to be added. Now the sources of food contamination. So various sources are also there. Microorganism for various sources, like from the green plants and fruits, from the animals, from sewage, from soil, from water, from air, and during handling and processes. So these are the different sources through which the contamination can enter to the food. And with the contamination means the spoilage organism can enter the food, can attack the food and cause the food spoilage. Now there are different compositional factors of food that influence the microbial activity. So these are the compositional factor of the food. Intrinsic factor you can say. Like food may what all are factors which are present through which the activity of microbe can be affected, can be influenced. So first is the hydrogen ion concentration, that is also called as pH. Second is the oxidation reduction potential, that is AW value of the food. And generally it is for the water we are saying. Now third is the inhibitory substances or the biological structure present in the food, nutrient content of the food, accessory food substances or vitamins if it is present, then combined effect of the factors affecting the growth. So firstly we will see the hydrogen ion concentration, that is the pH. So every microorganism has a minimum, maximum or optimum pH. pH we know that it is the indicator of acidity or alkalinity or neutrality of the food. Okay, so every organism has this optimum pH. Optimum means the pH at which the organism grows best. Okay, so microorganisms, they are significantly affected, their growth significantly affected by the pH of the food. Okay, because organism, they don't have any internal adjustment, so that for the food to adjust its pH to make the environment optimum for them. So the food which is giving them the environment, like acidic food is there, alkaline food is there, neutral food is there. So depending on the pH of the food, the organism will attack. So inherent pH of the food varies, although most foods are pH 7 or less than 7, that is neutral or acidic. Now foods with low pH, that is below 4.5, that they are usually not spoiled by the bacteria and they are more susceptible by the spoilage of yeast and mold. Okay, so this way every organism, all the bacteria and yeast and fungi, they have their optimum pH. Like most fermentative yeast, they are favored by the pH of 4 to 4.5. Bacteria, they are nearly pH 7, means they are nearly neutral pH, they will grow best. Second is the moisture requirement, that is the concept of water activity. So this is very important concept. That is the water that is present in the food, because every time you will know that water is a very important factor that is required for the growth. So how much water is present, that is we are going to define it in terms of water activity. So let's see what is there. Microorganisms have an absolute demand for water. Okay, for without water no growth can occur. So the exact amount of water needed for the growth of microorganism, that is also varying. Means it is not like every organism need the same water requirement. Okay, they don't have same water requirement. So that also vary. But water is very essential for their growth. Okay, so this water requirement is best expressed in terms of water activity, that is denoted by AW. Okay, so and the formula of this is the vapor pressure of solution divided by the vapor pressure of the solvent, that is usually water. Okay, and this solution that is present in the food. So AW, that value would be 1, then it would be less than 1 or it would be more than 1. So that way we can say that if the value, like in the next table we can see. So this is the principal group of food and their AW value. So these are the AW values, and that is the water activity value, and these are the different food in which, like, these are the examples of the food in which the water activity value is this much. Like 0.98 and above value is present in these foods. 0.93 to 98 is present in these evaporated milk, tomato paste, all these examples. 0.85 to 0.93 dry or fermented sausages. So like this, and below 0.6 is the chocolate confectionery, dried eggs, vegetables. So like this, the value of AW is given. So each microorganism has maximum, optimum and minimum AW for their growth. Now what all are these? So in the last slide we have seen what are the different example of the foods which are having their specific AW or water activity value. Now we will see what are the different group of microorganisms which have their AW optimum. So minimum optimum value for many bacteria to grow is 0.91. Many yeast it is 0.88, many molds is 0.80, halophilic bacteria 0.75 and osmophilic yeasts are 0.60. So this is the minimum AW water requirement, that this much water activity should be there in the food for these organisms to grow. Coming to next factor is the oxidation reduction potential. So oxidation reduction potential, if you see that is the tension, oxygen tension of the food. Okay, so that influences the type of organisms which are going to grow. Now from the standpoint of the ability to use free oxygen, microorganism, we know that they are aerobic, they are anaerobic. Aerobic means when they require oxygen, free oxygen. Anaerobic when they grow best in absence of free oxygen. And facultative, they can do both, aerobic sometimes anaerobic sometimes aerobic. Okay, so molds are aerobic. Most yeasts grow best aerobically, but the bacteria of different kinds may be aerobic, anaerobic and facultative. So yeast will grow best at the aerobic condition. Now if here we are looking for the oxidation reduction potential, when you see the oxidation reduction potential standpoint, the high oxidizing potential favors the aerobes, okay, and low potential, that is the reducing potential, that will favor the anaerobes. So this is the significance of OR potential. Now this OR potential, it is usually written as EH and it is represent or expressed in the terms of millivolts. Okay. Now fourth and one more important factor is the nutrient content. Nutrient content present in food, that is also going to affect the growth of and the kind of and the composition of the microorganism affecting them. So different type of foods are there. Sometimes the food are for energy, they will use the food for energy, they will use the food for growth. Sometimes accessory food substances are there, like vitamins are there. So all these things will be used. Like food for energy, like carbohydrate, if the sugar is there, food is rich in sugar, so microbes, they will also use the sugar as a most common source of energy, so they will use that as a carbon source. If the carbon is, so same way they can use the protein also. So with the help of proteolytic enzyme, they will hydrolyze the protein and then they will use that. Okay, so this is also depending on the type of the food. Now inhibitory substances, sometimes the inhibitory substances which are present in the food naturally or artificially, they are also going to affect the food, they are also going to affect the microorganism and their different categorization, their classification, their types, their population. Okay, so like here sometimes what is happening, like if you read this point, inhibitory substances originally present in the food. So originally present in the food before attacking of the microbes. Okay, now how they are present in the food, they can be added purposely accidentally or developed there by the growth of microbes or by processing method. They can prevent the microbial growth, okay, and they can deter the certain specific kind. So if the inhibitory substances are present, they will definitely going to, like, and in the normal conditions, the microbes which are going in a specific type of food, if any inhibitor is added, so that specific organism will not be able to grow on that specific food. So this way the growth of the microbes will be affected by the presence of the inhibitory substances in the food. Like example of the inhibitory substances, like naturally, and these inhibitory substances are naturally present and they are artificially. So some are the inhibitory substances which are present naturally. The examples are lactanins and anticoliform factor that is present in the freshly drawn milk. The cow milk or the buffalo milk or any of the cattle milk, when it is freshly drawn, so natural inhibitory substances are present in that. Lysozyme, that contains the egg white. Cranberries, they contain the benzoic acid. So these are the natural inhibitory substances. Okay. Now if you come to the during smoking, when we are here, we can say that these are the artificial inhibitory substances. So benzoic acid are added to the meat and fish. Sulfur dioxide is destroyed by the yeast resistant to it. Then heating food may result in the formation of inhibitory substances. Heating lipid may hasten its auto-oxidation and make them inhibitory. Browning concentrated sugar syrup may result in the production of furfuryl and hydroxyl methylfurfuryl. So these are inhibitory to the fermenting organism. So here you can see, like normally the syrups will be acted upon by the fermenting organism. But if the inhibitory substances are there that is developed due to the browning, that will be affected. Okay. So and the last factor of the food that is influencing the microbial activity is the combined effect of the factor affecting. When all the factors all together, when they are present in the food, so they will also significantly affect the resulting microbial flora. Like each of the compositional factor of the food, like AW, pH, oxidation reduction potential, nutrient content, so they will be significantly affect the resulting microbial flora. So these are the factors, as we have seen, that they are the deciding factor for their microbial activity. Okay, and their population and their types will also be determined by that. Many of these factors interact, and therefore one must be concerned with the total ecology of the food. What is the meaning of this point? That means the ecology of the food. What is the type of the food, the environment where the food is present, the processing during which the food is prepared. So all these things are going to decide and determine the type and the population and the number of the microbe. For example, microorganism growing near its pH, optimal pH, will be more tolerant to the changes in the AW than one growing close to the minimum or maximum pH. So all these things we have discussed earlier. Okay, so these are the different factors which are going to determine, which are going to have their significance for the role of the microbes, for the growth of the microbes, and for considering the food as a substrate for them. Okay, so I hope this was clear to all of you. Thank you.